Hey, what's up, y'all? It's poppin'. It's D. About to react to this video by Sunny V2. It's titled "Why This Travel YouTuber is Surprisingly Controversial." Who is this? I ain't never seen this bald head man a day in my life, but sure, we're gonna see what's going on. I am really stepping up my travel content. Okay, I am in another country at the moment, and I've already started vlogging, and I'm really taking my travel vlogging seriously. It's reserved for my Patreon family, so if y'all are interested in all of the travel vlogs I'm about to be putting up, subscribe to my Patreon, link down below. We're about to be lit, so I'm super excited about it. But anyway, we're gonna see why this specific travel YouTuber is so controversial and see what's going on. Let's watch.
Bored and Bankrupt is one of the website's most fascinating YouTubers. He gains over 1 million views per video by traveling to extremely isolated areas. However, with accusations
who
of
I like, who I've been watching lately, it's this travel YouTuber. His name is Small Brained American, and I've watched a lot of his travel videos, and they are really interesting. So if y'all are into like travel YouTubers, check him out for sure.
Card fraud, unexplained court cases, and most notably controversial behavior toward women. To say he has a hidden dark side would be putting it pretty lightly. Take for example his very first video titled "I Love India's Policewomen," in which he spends roughly 3.5 minutes firstly swooning over female cops.
I saw what at first appeared to be a mirage, but they were no mirage. They were Indian traffic cops, and they were beautiful.
Before filming some pretty questionable shots with some more creepy commentary.
I stayed in the city an extra day for no other reason than to gaze upon them. In fact, I'd often stop to ask needless directions just to see their smiles up close, maybe feel a slight hint of their breath on my skin.
Many of the video's comments echoed, "Ha, I knew it, I'm not the creepiest man alive." However, despite being a pretty creepy upload, there was no denying the footage was interesting, especially to a Western audience. By showcasing similarly interesting culture shock footage like a $1 Indian gym, Mumbai's largest slum, and a stolen item market, Bored and Bankrupt exploded in popularity, all while maintaining his vocal love for the opposite sex.
There's two things that I like in life: markets and women. And here I've come to the world's only all-women's market.
In other videos, Bored's comments became much more expressive.
Oh, sexy little things in a hijab. I'm a little bit scared to flirt. I do like a woman in a hijab. Is the hijab one when you just see the eyes? It's very sexy when you just see the eyes. Leaves a lot to the imagination. You start imagining what's under the rest of it.
Although since they were invested in highly interesting videos, nobody seemed to give them a second thought.
I found someone who's looking for girls like me. Where are the girls at? Let's find some chickens.
Excluding what seemed to be one single person who wrote, "Maybe one thing this channel is missing is a little bit more respect for women. They're either pretty so they're like objects and creepily talked about, or they're big fat women with cankles. I love this channel, but yikes, it's weird." To which Bored actually replied, "I have news for you. Men objectify every woman we see or meet. We place them in two categories, would fuck them or not."
And you are one that we would not fuck, sir. I'm speaking for all women. We would not fuck you. So, yes, we do the same thing, and nobody's trying to fuck you. And just because you objectify someone in your head, that doesn't mean you have to outwardly do it and then record it and then show them on fucking camera to millions of people and show how you're objectifying them. Show bald head ass. This is so ridiculous.
If you think that is creepy, go ahead, but it doesn't change the facts of how men think, which had been commented on a video where Bored had stated this.
Argentinian team has some hotties in it. Next stop, Argentina on the world tour, I think. But I have no actual interest in watching polo, although watching some Argentinian girls bouncing around on a horse might be fun, I don't know. Any Argentinian people staying here? Any blonde Argentinian girls, you notice?
His outlook only became more solidified after moving to Russia in 2019.
Look at the boobies they've given her. Oh my god, they're huge. They're bigger than Tanya's.
Although we'll have to come back to the topic of women later, as in the meantime he'd find himself in a totally unrelated controversy. During a video titled "The Last House in the Chernobyl Village," Bored met a man named Kolya who lived in a derelict forest house with no power or running water. The two struck up quite an unusual friendship, filming 6 different videos together during which Bored had an idea. He chose to launch a line of merch with Kolya's face on the front, the profits of which would be given to Kolya so he could increase his standard of living, and this seemed to...
I watched this series about Chernobyl on HBO, and I bawled my eyes out. That was so fucking sad.
Work perfectly.
Recently, I had a t-shirt campaign. I said I was going to raise some money for someone. And well, you guys bought the t-shirts, and I've got the money. And so I'm going to come here and hand it over to somebody.
Board gave Collier a handful of banknotes, later clarifying the amount to be...
I left him with the equivalent of what was about a year's pension money.
Although since the amount of money was somewhat visible on camera, people were able to pinpoint exactly how much money was given. In my eyes, Board has only given him 4 banknotes, which would be roughly 400 rubles or $200, which meant he only gave away the equivalent of 20 t-shirt sales. Not exactly a year's pension, is it, Bald? Although another post made things even worse. Bald failed to give Collier any of the estimated 10,000 money from the t-shirt campaign, apart from the $300 he gave on camera. It turned out that Collier wasn't even aware that he'd been filmed, and these kind people showed him the videos Bald made about him. In Bald's defense, giving $10,000 to someone with a severe alcohol addiction might have also been a terrible idea.
Don't spend too much of it on alcohol, but Collier's his own man. I just hope we haven't killed Collier.
But while Bored and Bankrupt might have done the right thing here, there were more Russian controversies just around the corner. During an upload titled "Would You Ride the Night Train to Chechnya?", Bored was back to talking about women by stating,
Hopefully at some point in the night, if some stopper Chechen chick turns up and shares my compartment with me, I can put on some romantic lighting. Salam alaikum, sister.
However, as a result of calling Chechen women chicks, Bored was forced by the Russian government to apologize for the insult.
Very Russian.
But with comments such as "lol" forcing someone to make an apology for a random flippant joke, Chechnya sounds like a ridiculous place. A nice healthy reminder never to go there. Most people understandably thought that Chechnya was being ridiculous. However, Bald's next controversy was 100% his fault. British YouTube star behind Bored and Bankrupt detained at Russian Space Center. British YouTube star with more than 3 million followers is arrested near Russian spaceport in Kazakhstan. British YouTuber ordered to pay fine after Russians detain him at spaceport. Bald had actually filmed the day all of this went down and would upload it under the title "This video caused an international incident." He and a female accomplice had snuck into an old Soviet spaceship hangar without realizing the military had been notified, who were on their way to arrest them. Bald was released with a measly £60 fine. However, the arrest might have played into something more serious, which happened only 32 days later. He'd uploaded a new video titled "The Journey is Over," in which Bald explained he'd been unexpectedly arrested on the street and was forced to leave the country.
I'm being kicked out of Russia with immediate effect. Banned from coming back.
In the months prior, Bald had called Putin crazy and shown his support for Ukraine, the reason for which was explained during a released interrogation video. He'd state, "When you have a face on YouTube, if you want to earn money, you need to say what people want to hear. If you don't, it will be a problem for you." Every YouTuber received an email from YouTube where they said you may only talk about the situation in Ukraine from the side of the Ukrainians. You can't tell it from the Russian point of view. If you do this, then you won't be able to earn money from advertising on your channel, with the audience again taking Bald and Bankrupt's side. Bald was really smart here. He clearly just speaks what is needed to get out of that situation. That's what I would do, the only aim is to get out. Anyone who thinks that Mr. Bald is a hypocrite has never experienced an encounter with Russian authorities. He's an absolute genius and a certified legend. Besides, being thrown out of Russia meant he could go to some new countries, where in Syria he'd post a story to his Instagram, reigniting an old point of criticism. Discussions about women. Me before visiting Syria thinking, must be hardcore there. Probably going to be a week of no alcohol and must not look at girls on the street or else I'll be beaten up by angry brothers. Reality of Syria. Guys inviting you to bars to drink and constantly telling you to go to Homs to see how hot the women are there. My kind of country. Just a few months prior, Bald had posted another story reading, "Throwback to 6 years ago when myself and HB were just a couple of red-pilled young chads traveling across Siberia having adventures. We'd love to repeat those escapades and film them, but of course YouTube only allows for watered-down versions of trips. Hashtag censorship sucks." Bald seemed to imply that during his trips, he'd seen more than just the local tourist spots, and as a result a subreddit was created titled "Bald and Boarded Dossier," deeply investigating Bald and Bankrupt's history. They'd find that Bald had used the online alias Vorkuta, which was the name of a small Russian town that Bald had spoken fondly of in an article that he'd written. A person who'd met Bald in real life also confirmed that Vorkuta was his alias and you therefore might be wondering, why is this important? Well, Vorkuta, who later changed his name to The Fantasist, was a prominent member of the pickup artist and sex tourist website Rushvi Forum, where prior to beginning YouTube he'd talk about wanting to head to places completely off the track, where he could find provincial seedy nightclubs with puke-stained carpets and suburban housing estates full of disenchanted and hopeless girls, in which his white god status is maximized even more. Bald also talked about faking his level of wealth in photos such as these, which helped him to sleep with an 18-year-old last summer when he was 38, with this video titled Dirty Secrets and Double Life of Bald and Bankrupt Exposed, giving a pretty good summary of Bald.
I was already getting this impression. He like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go see the girls. Like, it was just given that you were looking for teens, like barely legal, and if that, because a lot of the time in these foreign countries, it's just very sick what people do. They're able to sleep with women who are even younger than 18 because it may be legal, the age of consent, like 15, 16 in some of these countries, so they can, legally sleep with like teenagers. It's very fucking sick and disgusting, and he's clearly a part of this community. The passport bro community. Well, I don't want to say the passport bro community because not all passport bros want to sleep with like underage girls, but a lot of them be on that type of time.
1,600 forum posts. It's therefore no surprise he joked about being a pickup artist, and when someone commented on one of his videos, big sex pest vibes. He can't help but bear creep around any woman and it's been the same for years. Ford responded by stating, a sex pest for years? That's absolutely unfair and untrue. I've actually been a sex pest for decades. Ford was seemingly exercising his strategy for dealing with criticism.
How do you deal with it when people are like saying terrible things about you? I suppose
it's just so fucked up too, because it's like, how would you feel if like your family members were subjected to this? If you had a sister or younger cousin or even like a daughter who, was desperate for money and, in a situation where she's being taken advantage of by old, bald, crusty, nasty men, would you be all for it then? It's just so sick that these people don't consider these things. They don't even care. It's wild.
every YouTuber has their own techniques to cope with that mentally. But for me, like, embrace it, love it, and amplify it. When someone says, like, you're the biggest wanker in the world, you say, that's right, mate. Bigger than you'll ever know. Even worse than you think I am. What are you going to do about it?
And while this works pretty well 95% of the time, doubling down on a sex pest comment was something he probably should have just ignored. It didn't help that he was also accused of SA in the year 2000, and while an article on the incident confirmed that Bald was acquitted, the judge stated their behaviour towards the woman had been appalling. Combine this with a forum post where Bald bragged about his Rohypnol game, and another joke on his Instagram reading, if you see this man, do not approach but call the police immediately. He is wanted in connection to a crime where Rohypnol was used. It's not hard to see why some might think that Bald's a bit of a creep. On top of this, Bald had suspiciously changed his name from Benjamin Rich Swift to a more simple Benjamin Rich, the reason for this being explained by Bald and Bankrupt himself. It stated, I owed £30,000 on credit cards and bank loans here in the UK about 5 years back. There was no way I could pay it back. I decided to change my surname to my mother's maiden name and change address, and I never heard from them again, for which the audience actually admired him. I respect him more now. Scamming a bank is morally right. What a beast, keep on travelling bro, which is exactly what he'd do until he'd post an Instagram story in Germany. Only been in Europe 2 minutes and already been ripped off. £15 for 3 mouthfuls of pasta. Germany, just like the UK, must be a failed state. They need their old leader and some Hugo Boss suits back in power to sort things out. After Bald posted that to his Instagram story, he'd receive a text from his mum reading, glad you arrived back safely but not sure about your comment with the food, prompting Bald to post another story reading, my mum always worried when I'm trolling with based comments. Mum, get off Instagram, you're too old. In fact, if I find you on here again, I'll start posting my collection of George Floyd memes, which on the internet of course ruffled some feathers, although for a slightly funnier reason. It was based from a 48-year-old man is actually crazy. After Bald also showed extensive support for Andrew Tate, he was slammed by NFKRZ despite the two collaborating together in the past.
Red pill circle jerkers, digital nomads. diplomat, expat, fucking bold and bankrupt looking ass.
And as a result, it seems their friendship completely disintegrated.
I randomly accidentally found out that Bold actually blocked me on Instagram completely.
On top of blocking NFKRZ, Bold wiped everything else from his Instagram, leaving one single image with a pretty heartfelt caption. As I wind down my YouTube career, I'm looking forward to slowly going back to being Ben from Brighton once again, instead of Bold from YouTube. If I'm going to be congruent with that desire, then I should remove as much of Bored and Bankrupt from the web as I can. Interestingly, that had been posted on the 7th of July 2022, which was the same day as when his forum posts were first exposed on YouTube, almost certainly explaining his sudden desire to quit. Impressively, however, Bored and Bankrupt soldiered on and continued uploading high-quality content, possibly realizing he could only look to the future, as he had no way of changing his past. However, in a recent interview with Joe Fish, Bored and Bankrupt stated that he'd pretty much completed his travels.
I've been very, very fortunate, and I can say that I've pretty much ticked off everywhere I truly want to go. I'm more interested now in learning more about my home country than I am about seeing those other places.
And while Bored has definitely had somewhat of a bumpy history, him quitting YouTube would be a depressing end to a channel loved by many with so much future potential.
What? He was so creepy. Loved by many who? Listen, watch whatever y'all want to watch, sure. If you're a creep and you want to connect with other creeps, I guess, but I just find this behavior to be a bit sick, honestly. Specifically the part about him, like, going to these other countries and, you know, bragging about how he was able to sleep with an 18-year-old when he was 38, like, just weird shit, bro. And then you have to think too, a lot of these younger girls, they're in desperate situations. They're unable to, you know, survive really. They go into that lifestyle because they have no other option. So they're kind of forced into it. Or maybe even their family is like pressuring them into it. So to know that you're taking advantage of that, and a lot of them are so young, it's just so disgusting and sick. And again, think of your younger female relatives and how you would feel if they were in that position and being taken advantage of by old crusty nasty men. Like, that's just sick, but sure, whatever. Anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think. Let me know what other videos you want to watch, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.